Hello everyone, it is the build-up show. Liverpool back in action. Watford, Vicarage Road, which we don't like very much.
Happy hunting ground, Paul.
Happy hunting ground. Far from it. We'll talk about that in a little bit. But Chris joins me, John joins me, and Matty joins me as well. Chris, it is time to get back on it. I'll be honest, I've kind of enjoyed the international break. I've not watched any international football as per. It's been a nice breather, and particularly given how mad this next
it's crazy.
5 or 6 weeks is going to be.
It's crazy. It's 11 games in 40 days or 10 games in 36 up until the end of the year, whichever
that
one
almost sounds like a statistic.
It is a statistic. It's definitely a statistic. I can't wait because it's good games coming thick and fast. You know, you got the Everton game in there, Man United, PSG away, Napoli, you know, but this needs to set the tone for all of those games, and that's why this is so important, isn't it? It's a place that I don't particularly like going to personally, but
because we have very bad memories.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, Bogdan. I mean, you know what I mean. The only saving grace from that day was Lucas looked good at centre half when he was needed to be brought on there. Let's forget about all that though. It is about this team. It is a completely different team now, and Watford doing well in the league, but not well recently, which I thought was a bit mad, to be honest. I didn't realise until you'd wrote the agenda just how poor form they've been in.
Well, that's the thing, isn't it? You've got it pegged for them as they started brilliantly, started the season excellent. They were one of the unbeaten teams up at the top of the league after 5 games, 5-6 games, and then it's not kind of worked out for them since then. And that it's not Vicarage Road. We and Chris and I discussed this little run of fixtures we've got coming up, and on paper, the fact that we've got the Watfords and Bournemouths of this world, Watford, Bournemouth, Burnley in a little run makes you think, oh great, perfectly winnable fixtures, and they are. But I do think there is a little note of caution in all these, and I'm almost positive Jürgen will say something similar in his press conference. Is that they are a good side. They've beat Spurs already this season as well, and we have made very hard work of Vicarage Road in recent years as well.
Well, the problem we've got is we're now one of the top sides. Well, we've always been one of the top sides, but we're actually doing well as well as being a top side. And therefore, you go to any ground, and everyone in that ground wants you to get beat. Yeah. You know, it's just a bit of a feather in the cap. They can get relegated and they'll turn around and say, but we beat Liverpool and we beat Spurs, great. Yeah. You know, so that's the kind of problem you've got. The crowd are up for it. The players are up for it.
And to be fair, from my experience of going there, the crowd
one of those tiny little grounds that people right on top of you.
And the fella at the front with the drums and getting the kids going and all that type of stuff. It was really good, actually. I was quite impressed with the atmosphere when we went there.
Yeah, that was the best use.
It's surrounded by all those little streets as well. So
the best use of a mascot I've ever seen at a football ground was Watford, and the guy getting up and he's calling all the kids and getting them all to stand on their feet and all to clap and cheer and stuff. So yeah, it will be hostile, I guess. I mean, Matty, as mentioned, we drew there 3-3 last season, opening game, and which kind of annoyingly set the tone for the league performances a bit. We won 1-0 the season before. Emre Can overhead kick, goal of the season to win that one, and then we lost 3-0 the season before. So I don't think it would be right of us to go into this feeling super confident we're going to go there and smash them. I expect this to be a tough game, but we've come on leaps and bounds since this game last season. You would expect us to make a better fist of it.
Oh, 100%, yeah. I mean, the recent form should be taken with a pinch of salt, because they're not, they've been without Troy Deeney. They're not someone who's easily rolled over. They certainly give a tough time against any team, as been proven earlier on in the season. But in terms of what we're coming off the back of, obviously the international break, going into that, we thought it was a bit of a thorn in the side, because we thought we'd lose the momentum that we started to gain a bit of. But I think the international break has been fantastic for virtually half of our starting 11. Mm-hmm. So I think the morales will be high, but I also think there'll be that thing in the back of the mind of, right, we know that they can be dangerous. We know that they're hard to break down, and as John said, in regards to people, we're a big team who are doing well at the moment, so it is a feather in the cap, so they are going to make it difficult.
The good thing in that regard, though, is that, kind of as you were saying before, we are a big team. We've always been a feather in the cap, but at least this time, and we've not been able to say this many times. Yeah, exactly. We're a good team in good form. Whereas we've been that scalp, we've been that feather in the cap for 20 years, but we've not had the ability to match it.
We've not been beaten this season, and that's always a feather for someone to claim the first victory over someone. Yeah. And Chelsea and City are going to face the same thing. Yeah. So that's just another reason why they'll be up for it.
But this is that game for me. Again, coming back off the international break, we've not been, we've not lost, I think, coming back from an international break, obviously not domestically or in the league. We made hard work of the Huddersfield game. I'd like to see us do this a bit better.
We've a lot of games this season so far, and we've still got a result, basically because we've got a great defence.
Yeah.
And that's the difference, I think, between going there this time and going there last season.
Yeah.
Last season, as you say, summed up our season. We were 3-0 up and coasting, and then pulled back to
It was we went 1-0 down very early on, and then I think was it 1-0, 1-0, 2-1-2. It was a shit show either way.
Yeah. Instead of getting 3 points, we clearly should have had.
Yeah.
That summed up the season.
Well, you did a lot of analysis on that game at the time, Chris, and that was like, being dodgy from set pieces, not marking correctly. I mean, actually looking at that starting 11, we had Mignolet in goal. Back four was Trent, Lovren, Matip, Moreno. Midfield was Hendo, Gini, Emre, Can, and then obviously the front three. Just in terms of the back line, that we should be in far better stead.
Oh, well, we are. We absolutely are, of course. We are. Like the difficulty I think with this fixture is, had we played these in a few weeks' time, sort of around like where the Everton fixture maybe, or even as far further away as the Man United fixture, they would start to struggle a bit with the squad size. Whereas right now they're coming back pretty, fresh from the international duty. That's why I think it's going to be a solid game. And for all the points that we've racked up coming back from international duties, I still feel it takes this side a little bit of time. And I think it'll be a really tough game. I think you can look at teams sometimes and how they match up to you. I think they're so strong and so big in the centre of the park that actually that's probably the one area where we need to get a grip of, and we need to make sure that we win those midfield battles. And for me, it wouldn't surprise me, to be honest, if they made us work incredibly hard for a victory in this game.
Yeah, I completely agree. One encouraging thing, Matty, coming at the back of the international breaks, of many that you kind of alluded to before, Trent Alexander-Arnold getting his goal for England. I mean, I think his form has been a little up and down, I think it's fair to say. I think it felt like he turned the corner a bit before the international break, but he's under scrutiny, let's say, for the first time in over a year. I think everyone was really, by and large, pleased with his performances. 1 or 2 sticky patches last year, but by and large, if you had his report card in the last year, very, very, very good marks all over. To go and
could
get
do
that,
better now, is it?
Well, yeah, no, but that's the thing. We hold him in such high regard, and in being a local lad, I think that. I think in some instances you get a bit of an easier ride because we naturally want local lads to succeed, but at the same time, being a young lad playing a full back, it is a very, very pressure-filled position. The thing that Trent does well is the stuff on the front foot. I don't think anyone's can deny that, but it's about time. I think that he does take a little bit of a step up, go up a gear again, and scoring goals from full back is a big addition to that, and getting the goal against England's not going to hurt in that regard.
Oh yeah, I mean it was massive for him. I mean, even if he hasn't put the doubters to bed literally, he has in his own mind, and that's...
Oh yeah, I mean he's not literally carried someone, put them in bed.
Oh no, what I mean is, in the eye of the media, it's not a case of it's not a case of everyone's still going to suddenly stop doubting him, but in his own head he goes, all right, I'm worth it. I know how good I am, and I know that I can keep making strides. I think he earned man of the match playing for England. He scored the goal, and I think he had maybe up there. I think he might have even had more touches than any other player for England. Maybe I could be wrong with that.
No, I think that's right, yeah.
Yeah, but he's certainly turning that corner, and now you want him to strive even further, and then maybe in 6 months turn another corner to where he's becoming, it's a bit preemptive, but one of the best full-backs in the world. I certainly think he's got the potential, and I know there is the aspect of, he scouts and he's playing for Liverpool, and we tend, when we come across players like that, push them towards the mantle of, the Gerrard or whatever, that is a massive pressure to carry, and I think generally speaking he's handled it extremely well. So as long as we can see him keep improving, and also again in games like this, yeah, it's great scoring goals going forward, and that's fantastic, but where he needs to tighten up on in the recent games is going back to being the rock at right back, which he was so much last season.
And this is it's a good point, Dad, and that's, maybe we are asking a bit too much, saying him going up a level. Trent could probably just do with this if he just has a season of consistency. That's actually a season step forward.
People forget he's only been a fullback for just over a year.
Yeah.
He wasn't even a fullback in the under-21s or wherever, or the under-18s before that.
Yeah.
You know, so he's learning the trade, and we've never had great luck with fullbacks over the years, over recent years anyway. Finding really good fullbacks is difficult, and he's probably as good as we've had for ages.
Yeah.
You know, he's not brilliant. He's still learning his job.
He's 20 years old.
Well, he's 20 years old. Joe Gomez is 20 years old or 21 and looks brilliant now. But I think it's the most difficult place to play in a team, fullback, because especially modern fullback, because absolutely. You can't just sit there and say, I'm going to stop this guy and kick him up the backside and say, you're not getting past. Mm-hmm. Now you've not only got to stop them, you've got to go past them and put crosses and shots in, and it's a totally different game.
That's it, John's right. I mean, you think about how often any good player completes a cross. It's difficult. Yet we want him to complete every single cross. It needs to go to the man. It doesn't happen. It's never happened in football that players do that. So when he's in the attacking positions, he's there and he's got a really difficult job by comparison to someone who's playing a 5-yard ball inside. You know, we're asking him to make magic every time he's up there on the edge of the area. Yeah. That's difficult to do. That consistency doesn't come until you're a little bit older. So I agree with Matt. I think what it's about is making sure that he's completely solid and he's still adding to his game at the top end. But being a right back first and foremost is his most important job.
Yeah, it's true as well that he's been targeted by a lot of teams because of his age, and therefore he's come under a lot more pressure than he might otherwise have done.
Yeah. He'll learn faster that way, won't he?
Yeah.
That's
trial by fire.
Yeah, he will do. And you know, this is the thing: until he proves that he's not a weakness, he will continue to be targeted.
Yeah, no, that's that.
It's down to him to make sure that he pick on someone else.
In that context, the international performance has gone a long way towards making teams think, oh, hang on a minute, you know, man of the match for England.
This is the thing. I think we lose sight of this sometimes because it's hard to really gauge the value of something when you see it. You see the development of it to some extent, and you know, if there was a 20-year-old doing what he'd done in the last 14, 15 months, playing for any of the other top 4 teams in any of the other top leagues in the world, we'd be salivating looking at him playing for any one of those other teams, and we should rightly be proud of him and be amazed at what he's actually been able to accomplish so far. And yeah, you know, if he is able to go up a gear, then we're talking about one of the best right backs on the planet. If he actually starts getting 5 goals a season from fullback, then that's you know, that is genuinely.
We should remember as well that last year when he played so well, he was being alternated with Gomez for a long time, and then Gomez got injured, so that was it. Yeah. You know, we had to play every single game, and clearly Klopp didn't want to do that.
And you know, and we're not far. You know, Nathaniel Clyne's there. Nathaniel Clyne. Well, oh God, yeah. Well, apparently there. By all accounts, he's there. But you know, we're talking about him who's again, and he was England's best right back 2 years ago. You know, and you know, this is now by Trent's now superseded him on almost all fronts, but we all would trust if Nathaniel Clyne could come into the Liverpool side at any point, and I think by and large we'd all be like, yeah, fine, good, very trusting of him because we know he's a very good footballer, but he's not getting a sniff.
Third choice.
Yeah,
now,
exactly.
It's a great comparison to make because Nathaniel Clyne comes in and he gives you a 7 out of 10 performance, and you made up for a season of 7 out of 10s from Nathaniel Clyne. Yeah. We're getting 7 out of 10 performances from Trent and we're disappointed, which tells you just how good and how high his ceiling is.
Yeah, to his merit, I mean, if I genuinely sat down and thought about it, I could only count on one hand the amount of significant mistakes that Trent has made, and that's in the past season and a half.
And most of them, when we talk about like mistakes, I think a lot of people will rewind to like Old Trafford last season or Chelsea this season, and you're talking about like it happens to fullback. How do you beat fullbacks? A lot of the time, it's a little give and go. You look to drag them out of position and you look to get round the back. We do it to fullbacks all the time, and no one goes, how terrible is that fullback? It's how good our wingers are. And if Eden Hazard's managed to get the better of Trent Alexander-Arnold there and there, he won't be the first or last.
He showed he learned lessons as well as he went on. That performance against Sané at the Etihad, that was brilliant. He played it.
And it wasn't just against Sané that day. No. They put David Silva right over there as well. They threw everything down that side to try and cause him problems, and he didn't bow at all during that game. So, yeah, look, I think we're all largely happy with Trent Alexander-Arnold, to say the very least. One thing I want to talk about then is the midfield. We're going to do preferred 11s in a minute, but This is a real dilemma, Chris. I think there's a general consensus on more. No, in fact, no, there isn't a general consensus at all in terms of what everyone's got for preferred. There's a lot of options available to us, and this game might be quite telling because we've seen a lot more 4-2-3-1. We know that Liverpool's best formation, in inverted commas, in recent years of the Jurgen Klopp is 4-3-3. I've got a bunch of new players there. We've got a bunch of old players there. We don't know whether some of them fit in one of those formations, but not in the other. Would Klopp trust 4-2-3-1 away from home, etc., etc., etc. I've got no idea.
All great questions. No one's got the answers to at the moment. But this game, and this lineup will give us a little idea into what Klopp's thinking, won't it? I mean, personally, the sort of demons that I have to deal with is, can Milner play in a 4-2-3-1?
Can Keita play in a 4-2-3-1?
Can Keita play in a 4-2-3-1?
Can Fabinho play in a 1?
Can Fabinho play in a 4-3-3?
Can Shaqiri play in a midfield?
All the players that we've got together, we've got loads of players fit and available, and yet one leads to one midfield and one leads to another midfield. So I think
Klopp's got 6 or 7 dice with the faces on, and he just throws them.
It's a double-edged blade, but it's on 6 different swords. Do you know what I mean? Do you know what I mean? Like, every time you try and fit one player in, it doesn't complement another player. Like, look at Salah and Firmino. Firmino in the 10.
This is the issue, but we've had this problem, haven't we, where that last season we created the super formation, but it wasn't that. We look back at it like, it's a super formation, 4-3-3, where it didn't do us any great favours, in terms of the Premier League when we ultimately scraped into the top 4 again. So I do feel as though we were always going to develop a different style of play for, we use the expression all the time, but horses for courses, a different way of playing for different types of games. The type of games that we couldn't win, we haven't won often under Klopp, we need a different way, a better way of winning those games. So you don't know whether because we haven't really been able to see it because we've had injuries in the midfield, because Henderson's been out, because Keita's been out primarily. We don't quite know whether we're going to make a permanent shift to 4-2-3-1 or 4-3-3 is going to be for this type of game and 4-2-3-1 is going to be for this type because there's not enough sample range.
Or the alternative to that again.
4-2-2-2.
No, the alternative is 4-3-3's always been the formation, we just haven't had the players. What you're saying is like you pick and choose it. Maybe he's not. Maybe he just didn't have the players for his 4-3-3 and felt comfortable moving to a 4-2-3-1. So
Keita being out, because Keita's been out and that's when we've been playing
so there's so many things that you can do, and I'll be honest with you, I think, having a couple of weeks off, James Milner should be in the starting 11. He's the one who hasn't had to travel. Yet he's not in my mind because I'm starting to think about PSG away, and I'm thinking, all right, we're going 4-2-3-1 here. We'll go 4-3-3 away. I'm having James Milner play away from home in the Champions League.
Yeah. Well, the simple point is we just don't have a clue. We haven't got enough of it because a lot of the stuff that we think we knew has changed. He's changed it, and some of that will be, and I'm sure, we talked about Buvac on last week's podcast and what have you. Some of it will be a change of the coaching staff. Some of it is a change of mentality in terms of what we're looking to do. But again, by the end of last season, we knew, and that was a combination of we played a formation in a way all season, and then we had loads of injuries, so we knew roughly what our starting 11 was going to be. This is great. This is really good. There's 4 completely different starting 11s that we're going to go through in a second. And I could see a strong case for every single one. I'd have no problem seeing any of those teams lined up. And I wouldn't surprise me if you then go different on your starting 11 prediction off the back. So yeah. A big question, Matty, and I'll get your answer in terms of preferred in a minute, but Lovren, Gomez. Yeah, it's got a very Lovren feel about it, this game.
Yeah,
big Bailey centre forwards.
Yeah, the last couple of games I've been teetering on the brink, because Lovren hasn't had much game time at all, and at some point we are going to have to rely on him later on in the season, whether it be through injury or whatever it might be, tactical. But given Gomez recent form, it's hard to deny him a place, and given Trent's recent international form, it's also hard to deny him a place. And in terms of Gomez, I don't see a weakness with Gomez. I heard on the commentary on the weekend, Gomez, he's not the tallest centre back, and I was like, Yeah, but he can still dominate people in the air.
Jamie Carragher wasn't the tallest.
Still 6'1".
Yeah. You know, he's not
bloody tall to me.
He's not
Van
short.
Dijk's not the tallest centre back. They're bigger.
Yeah. There's Vestergaard for Southampton. 6'8". Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think he used to be a basketball player.
I think he comes from parts unknown. That's how big he is. Like you mean, he's definitely classic WWF.
Make him sound like he was made.
Yeah, no, honestly, yeah, absolutely.
But I think in terms of the form, and I think looking at the pros and the cons, I can't see any pros from putting Lovren in other than giving him game time. But in keeping Gomez in, like he's ridiculous. He's pacey, he's strong, he's good in the air.
The question for me over that is, can you play the same back five over the next 40 days in 11 games? And the answer to that is probably no.
But I don't think we have to. I think with this game, it's a bit different.
And then, and in that case, you're picking and choosing your games for each of them, aren't you? Yeah. Who's going to be better matched up in this game? Who's better in Paris Saint-Germain? Who's in the derby next week and all that? They're the things that, you know, we'll look at it and go, oh, who's our starting 11 for Watford? You can't do it without thinking about the next one and the next one.
Because you know you've got to go, you've got to put your best, whatever he thinks that is, and we don't know what that is necessarily, whatever he thinks his best team is and his best style, whatever, has got to play in Paris. Got to play, because that's a huge game and you can lose that at your absolute 100% best. Now, does he then think, well, I've got to get my rotation in? Because I want to call back to Huddersfield, but we had injuries in the Huddersfield game. That was an informed decision. Roberto Firmino came back as well, knackered after the international break, and we used that as an opportunity, and we had to make a couple of enforced changes as well. So because I think my suspicion with Huddersfield is, particularly because you're coming back from the international break, you don't want to start cold. You want to start this sequence of games. You don't want to, all that build-up and all that unbeaten run in the league, and knowing what we've got ahead of us, and knowing that Chelsea have got the opportunity to drop points again, which we'll talk about, Chelsea City's looming on the horizon. So this little spell of mini spell of games until the 8th of December is so important that we don't drop points there. I want to go full strength in
every game.
Well, no, but every fucking game.
If you're going to prioritise, then I'm prioritising the Premiership.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not prioritising Europe at all. You know, what you get in Europe is what you get for me. We got to the final last year. That was probably overachieving. Mm-hmm. Our priority has to be to put to bed not having won the Premier League. Yeah. So that's the so if you were told by the health and fitness guys, the sports science guys, you can only go full strength for one of this game or Paris Saint-Germain, you'd be going full strength. What kind of players have we got who can't play 2 games in 3 or 4 days?
Yeah.
You know, but I wouldn't necessarily say we have to go. I would say.
And how much are these players getting paid as well?
I'd be happy for Lovren to get a game in Paris.
Yeah.
You know, although I don't want to see him play for us at all while Gomez is fit.
Yeah.
I want to do what Chris says we shouldn't do, is play our best 5 defenders in every game.
Yeah.
I know it's not possible, but prioritise the Premier League first and foremost.
Well, we rotated heavily at this time last year. This is where it went mad. This is where we saw Dom Solanke.
And how good did that do us when we got to the second half of the season?
No, but I think it did us reasonably well. To be fair, I think injury you can't account for injuries, but I think in terms of the rotation, I think we will rotate. But I think the hope is that we've got a better quality of players.
The best thing that happened to us last year was he didn't play Milner until the second half of the season, and he was fantastic.
Yeah,
and Robertson.
Yeah, Robertson.
The caveat with Paris, by the way, just to touch on it dead quick, is Neymar and Mbappe have recently picked up injuries on the international break. So the caveat there could be, well, we don't have to play ours, because who's Paris's backups? Do you know what I mean? Choupo-Moting. We don't have to play.
Do not say, nobody say a bad word about Choupo-Moting. I'm sorry.
He's talking to me. We've got a tough game in our hands.
Predominantly, but I've got a great track record of it as well, Chris. I just don't do it on camera as often. But yeah, let's not Ian Marshall him right now. No, look, let's not get into it.
Cavani, haven't they? And they've still got Di Maria.
They're not lacking in quality, is the answer. But I think we'll treat that. I mean,
also they'll play.
Well, no, exactly. Yeah, you know, and also I'm sure they're fine. You know, or at least one of them will.
Although looking at Mbappe when he took that injury and he was holding his shoulder on the Michael Owen visual pain scale, I'm thinking 4 weeks on the Michael Owen visual pain scale.
I'd be absolutely fine with that, and that's been proven to be almost the most effective way of judging player injuries.
Fuck the sports science.
Certainly to Michael Owen, for whom we saw it most frequently. Yeah, okay, we'll dive back into a bit more about the selection, what have you, in a minute. Ad break time. As you've seen, me and Chris are wearing some splendid...
Nice jumper, Paul.
Splendid Christmas sweatshirts. Here's how you can get yours. There you go, yeah, get involved. Chris, what is the website?
The Redmen TV shop.bigcartel.com, baby.
Exactly. Put
Without
the
baby.
In the... yeah, it's not how URLs work. Yet. I mean, eventually when all the .coms go...
Oh yeah, with that
.com baby might well be in the next. Get invested now. Link will be in the description underneath. Get involved. Yes, preferred 11 time. Matty, you have gone... the usual back five: Trent Gomez, Van Dijk, Robbo. You've got this is 4-2-3-1.
3-1, yeah.
So you've gone for what people have been clamouring for, and I would be very excited to see this. The midfield axis of Gini and Fabinho again, which I think is absolutely fine. Shaqiri in the 10 this time, and restoring Bobby Firmino towards the 9. Yes,
yeah, definitely.
1,000 times, yes.
Yeah, I can't see the benefit in putting Firmino in the 10 because we lose out on a lot of things. Plus Salah on the wing, I mean, for me personally, he's far better out on the wing than he is down the centre. He can take on a man, he can come inside, he can go outside. There's a lot more versatility in that formation. And also, if Watford come at us, Shaqiri's more than capable of just dropping that little bit deeper, and making it a bit more of a 3 in midfield. Whereas Firmino, I mean, you don't want him playing centre.
You say he's capable of that, but... I think that's why we haven't seen him. If I'm honest, I think that's the big question mark over that.
We did try him in the 4-3-3. Admittedly, he got hooked.
Yes.
He's less defensive responsibilities in the 10.
Yeah.
Because of the positioning of the 2.
Yeah, true.
So if he's tried him in the three-man midfield, I'd guess, you'd almost free him up a little bit more to do a bit more attacking.
But the argument being that if we need to make we need to make it a 3, yeah. I think what we have got is from evidence of him being in a 3, Klopp's. You could just about surmise that he's not totally enamoured with his defensive work.
The point of this is, if you're playing him in the 10, you're not thinking about his defensive responsibilities. You're thinking about scoring goals and beating them.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, I think the only way we're going to really run away with this game is if we absolutely starch them, and make sure that we, pop in a few goals early on, which we've done last season so many times, home and away. And I think if we start strong, because we haven't employed this formation loads, have we? We've only started doing it recently. And plus, they don't know how to set up, because they might be thinking, all right, they're just going to go for a 4-3-3. We might take them aback with this, and we've got 4 attackers there who are capable of virtually anything.
Question on this, though, because I'm saying this, I would love, that's what I want to see. Because I agree, I'm not overly enamoured with Firmino in the 10. But that means I think it's an interesting point there, though we've not played this formation loads, but when we have played it, we've played Firmino in the 10. Does it not make sense to persist because he's done the most, he's played that most in that position? I
think people are being down on Firmino in the 10. I think when you watch the games back, I think, last time out he created 5 chances. Not many Liverpool players create 5 chances during a game of football.
Well, we talked about this in the podcast.
Yeah,
we've got this idea of him.
We want him to score 27 goals. He ain't going to score 27 goals from the 10. No number 10 apart from maybe Frank Lampard's ever bloody done that in the Premier League. Yeah. You know, it's very, very difficult to do, but what we have been able to do is get Salah scoring goals again, and what we've been able to do is get Shaqiri playing well from that right-hand side, and Mane keeping up appearances over on the left-hand side. So for moving Firmino back into that 10, everything else is working a little bit better than it was at the start of the season, so I can understand why he's done it.
But we did talk about that notion of someone's paying the price in that front four, and Firmino's kind of having to paying the price in terms of probably his contract, because he earns a lot more money for scoring goals. Would you rather have Salah
scoring goals or Firmino? Just for your team, for everything, for the morale. I'd rather have the guy who's supposed to be the guy scoring goals.
I get what you mean, but I mean, it's not. I don't think. I get what you're driving at, but I don't think it's as binary as that, because Salah scored all his goals from the right last season.
But he hasn't this season. So are you sacrificing Salah or are you sacrificing Firmino in front of the goal? I think I'd sacrifice Firmino.
But I think with the 4-2-3-1, what offers differently is when it's a 4-3-3, you've got 3 offensive attackers. You've got 3 attackers. If you've got Salah on the right, whoever is defending against you knows how to play that. They know, all right, double up on Salah. Bring our midfielder, cover the left back, double up on Salah. When you've got 4 attackers, they can't then suddenly, let's double up on Salah, because then Shaqiri can pop him behind, then Firmino can pop him behind. In this formation, doubling up on a player isn't going to work, because we've only got 2 defensive midfielders and the rest are attackers. They can't afford to just go, we'll put Salah out the game, because it's not going to work in this formation at least.
Yeah. I just think at the moment, and listen, I don't know whether we're going to continue with 4-3-3 or 4-2-3-1, but 4-3-3 last season, we didn't score goals in the same way at the start of the season as we did at the end. There was a period of adjustment to everybody getting used to playing with each other before you get to that fluid football at the end of the season. I think it's just teething. You know, at the moment, I think, if we continue to play this 4-2-3-1, everybody will be better in it in 2 months' time.
Yeah, no, it's interesting.
I tend to think it's horses for courses. He'll change his formation depending on who he's playing and what he thinks will be the best thing to get a victory. But for me, the problem with our team all season has been the midfield. Yeah. It's not been very good.
Well, you've put Shaqiri in the midfield.
I'd put Shaqiri in a 3 with Milner and Ginny.
Yeah.
With Ginny as the holding. But, I think 4-3-3 is our best formation. Mm-hmm. I think Bobby in a false 9 is the best form, gets the best out of him. Mm-hmm. And if you get the best out of Bobby Firmino, you get the best out of Salah and Mane.
Yeah.
Simple as that, really. And fine, he can change it to 4-2-3-1, when he thinks the team is settled. But at the moment, I think we need to get back to being a team which uses our assets to the best.
Yeah, it's interesting because one thing that hasn't been mentioned so far, Chris, is obviously Naby Keita in this regard. Yeah. You've put him in a 4-2-3-1.
Yeah, I don't know whether Keita can play in this 4-2-3-1, so I want to have a look. Basically, if it's my preferred 11 ultimately, and I think he can. I think he can be very box to box. I think he can be an extra attacker, but equally we know he can win the ball back. I toyed with the idea of him and Fabinho because I think that's where ultimately I'd like to see that as a dual axis almost, but I'm thinking about Paris and I'm thinking Fabinho. I want him in there for Paris Saint-Germain. He's come up against them while he's been in Monaco. He knows that stadium. I think he's important to have there with someone like a James Milner for the European away. So I've settled with Wijnaldum and Keita and left the front 4 as we've kind of seen.
I wonder whether we've messed Keita up. I mean, Klopp famously doesn't throw people in right away. He tends to hold them back until they're used to the system. He threw Keita in right away. And he was okay right at the start, and then he just deteriorated every game. And then he got injured, and
I think we started to see little bits and pieces from him. I wonder whether because I think he's an important conversation to have.
But I think he's the future of our midfield. Yeah. But I don't think we've yet got him to a point where he's going to come in and do what he can do.
But this is the thing, isn't it? I think it's actually I think we're all disappointed with Keita. Not in a really bad, super negative way. But I mean,
I was thinking he was going to come in like this.
Absolutely. But what have we done all season? And this is based on conversations that stuff we learned from last year about players needing to learn the role. Keita's come in and been fine. come straight, sorry Dad, he's come in and been fine, whereas every other midfielder has either not started the season, like James Milner took him a couple of months to get into the Liverpool side. We've seen Fabinho only starting to come into the Liverpool side. We saw Oxlade-Chamberlain didn't really get in there until the new year. It's probably a massive compliment to Keita that he's actually come in without the training.
After 2 games, I said I think he'll play in every game. Yeah. Because I thought he was going to be that important, and it just didn't work.
Well, I wouldn't, and I think people would disagree with me, but I was actually thinking of putting Keita in the 10 and almost trying to get him to replicate an Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain role, because he's good with the ball at his feet. He likes a pass. You can see he likes those through balls. We saw it with Sturridge in pre-season. How many times those sort of threadbare balls were going in?
We've seen him in the past scoring goals.
Yeah. You know. Well, this is what I went with was this, because I think this conversation
Keita in the 10.
No, in a midfield 3. Because I think we're thinking of him as being, because I think he's played within himself, and I think he was brought to be a bit more like James. Probably not quite as offensive, but more offensive than Gini Wijnaldum, basically. And I think we're still yet to see the best. And when we start to see glimpses of that, we saw it. He was terrible before he got injured in Napoli, but there was one barnstorming run through the middle of the pitch. He came on against Chelsea, and he did a similar thing where he was just driving at their team as well. And I think I don't think we've seen our proper midfield 3 yet, and I think he will be so much more effective. And I think we've, in the absence of him, as we kind of hinted at earlier, we've had to change the midfield, because there's clearly a Oxlade-Chamberlain called it a Nabil Fekir-shaped hole in the midfield. And unless Shaqiri learns that role, which I'm not convinced he's either ready to or ever will do, I think we need someone who can drive a bit more from midfield. I think that'll be Keita. So I went with Fabinho anchoring. Milner, I think, is nailed on to play just because he's not played over the international break. And I think Keita to come back in and be that driver. We'll just say to him, unshackled, mate.
Just give him tape of Alex from last year and go, what's that? Do that, but with your own spin on it.
Don't worry about it, because that can drop into Milner and Fabinho can drop into a 2 if it needs be. Your job is to get the ball and to charge at the heart of their defence and cause problems. And because I think you're right, I think he is set to have that effect, and I think we haven't been able, because I think Klopp sees that the other midfield options we've got are a bit workman-like. He's not soft. You know, he sees what we see. He knows that Gini, Hendo, Fabinho, all these guys, they've all got qualities, but none of those
they're
qualities...
all horizontal players. This is a vertical guy. Exactly. That's where he's going. He's going towards the goal.
Exactly. So, and look, I don't disagree with the Fabinho thing. I think you're right. I think statistically, Fabinho's been fine in the 10, hasn't he, by and large. But I think the eyeball test, I think, is still important in that regard. I don't like him as much. I don't think he is as good. I don't think he is as dangerous in that position. I want to see him back in the 9. I want to see, because I know, because we've got enough evidence, Salah can score goals from the right-hand side. So, get him back in there, and maybe Shaqiri has to come out. Okay, there's loads of football games. He's not like he's going to lack for footy in the next 6 weeks, is it? Like, so, yeah, horses for courses and all that. The other one, I did bring Lovren back in for this, because I think this is one of them games, you know what they're going to try and do. They're going to try and bully it. I can
understand that. Like, I was personally thinking it would be a Gomez, Lovren, Van Dijk, Robbo for PSG. So you rest in 10 for that game.
You can make a case either way, though. We talked, again, not to go back over it, but I could make a strong story where you want Gomez, because Gomez is your best centre-half, so you want him against the best opposition. But equally, Lovren's good for the big games and the big occasions. He's made a name for himself in those games for Liverpool. So you want Gomez to have the test of Troy Deeney, because I think he's handled Arnautovic, I think he's handled Mitrovic, he's handled all these big guys well so far. That's another good test for him. That's the beauty of what we've got at the moment. I think we've got a very well balanced squad. Looking around the Premier League then, before we get to score predictions, United, Palace, West Ham, City, all as well as us, all 3 o'clock Saturday kickoffs, which is very interesting. Can't see City going to the Etihad, going to the City of London and not.
It's a big pitch, that for them.
It is a big pitch. It's just like it's basically their ground. Only it was designed to. Except that if their ground hadn't been designed well, that's what the West Ham's ground is. Spurs, Chelsea, Dad, 5:30 that's the game of the weekend, isn't it? And that's why it's another one where it's so important for us to tuck 3 points up by hook or by crook, because one of our big rivals is going to drop, and that's just an opportunity for us to stretch things out a little bit.
Oh, nice.
Indeed.
I wonder when the last time Liverpool, United and City all play Saturday 3 o'clock.
Yeah.
Sunday's going to be terrible, isn't it?
Sunday, Bournemouth, Arsenal early kick-off, and then who's Arsenal?
Well, not if Bournemouth score first.
No. Yeah, provided Bournemouth do something there, that'll be lovely. But what do we think of the Spurs-Chelsea game, Matty?
I haven't really paid much thought, but I mean, it's a mouth-watering prospect. Spurs at Wembley, I mean, it's hard to predict any game when Spurs are playing at Wembley as the home ground. I know people say, oh, it's a bad thing, but it's a big stadium and there's a lot of people that can fit in.
Spurs to win that game.
There's a lot of beef in that game.
Spurs' European form has been so awful that people have forgotten or not realised that the actual Premier League form is pretty good.
Yeah.
You know, they've had a really good season so far and they're well up there. So.
I was saying to Paul, they've lost 3 games, but they're only 3 points behind us because we've drawn. Well, 3.
they don't draw games, dude. Yeah. That's the thing. So we know they're either going to win or lose this game. That's
nailed on draw.
Yeah, nailed on draw.
Said that. I actually think Spurs are going to win.
If Spurs get Eriksen out on the pitch and Kane is okay after the internationals, then they're really in with a great shot.
Yeah, I think it's like that Man United game. I think, if Chelsea start to dominate possession more, it could be the guy to break that game apart.
Ideal world scenario here is Spurs take the win, because you said on the podcast, like, you don't want Spurs to be gaining ground on us too. Fine, I can live with that. We need Chelsea to lose a game of football. Chelsea to lose that, but then to go and beat Man City later on in December, I like that story. I like, people think, well, that's it, that's Chelsea's title challenge done, and then they go and get a win over Man City, and all of a sudden they're right back up there. But
I didn't want to say it, but genuinely, I think Chelsea might do one, just because the football I've watched them play, they've been streaks ahead of Spurs.
Yeah.
Like Spurs, they've beaten teams, all right, but when Chelsea played us, it was a tactical masterclass. Hazard was on fire. I don't see any players for Spurs that I'm saying he's on fire. Even Kane started the season was a bit hot and cold.
He's not scored for a while though, has he? Hazard?
And that's what he shouldn't have scored in August. He'd have been fine.
That's what he did wrong, wasn't it? And I'll take a narrow Spurs win there with a lot of demoralising goals conceded by both teams.
If both teams could lose, I'd like that.
Yeah, ideal world.
As Phil Shankly once said, I hope they both get beat.
Yeah, absolutely. Score predictions for Liverpool then, Matty, what do you think the Reds are going to do?
I'll go for squeaky bum 2-0.
Okay, cool. Dan?
3-0.
1-0 Liverpool. Yeah. I think it's going to be dead hard, this game.
Yeah, maybe like I think we'll win it by a goal. I'll take 2-1 to Liverpool just for the just to mix it up a little bit. I know. Yeah, I think it will be. I just think this is going to be absolutely horrendous, and this could be like I could see this, and let's hope it's not. Let's hope Liverpool just turn on the style and start going bigger and better from here on in. This could be. It's got a bit of a Burnley vibe, like that. And we have struggled there, so yeah, I genuinely not asked. I'll take this
Burnley vibe, and then we play Burnley away, bloody hell.
Well, no, but that's it. These Burnley and Bournemouth, I don't care. Just give me 9 points. I'm not asked how we go about achieving them. And then
you mean like the rest of the season so far?
Yeah, exactly. Just more of the same. No. If we have to play it like we've done it so far, fine, absolutely fine. Yeah, I can live with that. Score predictions then in the comments below. Let us know your preferred 11s and thoughts on any of the ones that we've presented there as well. If you want to get involved with the fantastic Redmen TV Christmas sweatshirts, you can. They're available for a very limited time, so do get your act together on that, because there is a point where we literally have to stop because we can't guarantee them for Christmas anymore. So the sooner you get it ordered, the more likely you are to get it in a reasonable fashion and in time for your Christmas party as well. Other than that, thank you very much, gents. It's been an absolute pleasure. We'll see you all post-match.